you think you're going? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking out on this fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. No, no, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown, four-alarm holiday emergency here. We're gonna press on, and we're gonna have the happiest Christmas. You're goofy.
Clark, it's over.
Not according to Santa's watch, it isn't.
Now, come on, son.
Stay out of this, Dad.
Clark, I think it's best if everyone just goes home before things get worse.
Worse? How could they get any worse?
The holiday season for most people, I would say running from Thanksgiving all the way through the new year, brings a whole host of emotions and feelings, and some of them very conflicting. And that's in a normal year. And we know this is 2020, not your typical year. Some of us come into the Advent/Christmas season not quite knowing what to feel or how to feel, and ratchet it up. Again, this is 2020, so take our normal difficulties with the holiday season, the mixed emotions, and then times it by 10 or 100 because this is 2020. Christmas is supposed to be, this Advent season is supposed to be that of what have we got here so far? Hope, peace, this week joy, next week love. It's supposed to be those four things, but sometimes we feel anything but. You know, we often, or at least I do, I'm going to assume you're the same, struggle with this, but even more so this year. I'm supposed to feel these things, but I'm not. What am I going to do about it? What do I do about it? In addition to that, you know, we've got a whole host of other circumstances that can make or that do make the holidays not quite as enjoyable, maybe as they should be, or we could even say, push it even further, not beyond not just quite enjoyable, but sometimes for some, just downright depressing.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's.
And then they'll do something I hate most of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, will stand close together with Christmas bells ringing.
A lot of people are looking for that Christmas cheer this season. On the other hand, though, that there's just not a lot of those typical Christmas festivities and parties going on right now because of again, it's 2020. Such things anyway, Christmas parties, Christmas events bring with them a certain amount of stress. So it's like we want them, but they stress us out, at least some of us. Do we even need that extra stress right now? You may just be tired and exhausted and ready for a break right now. So maybe you're good to go. Just that, man, I don't even really want to think about parties and festivities. I just need a break. I need to make it through what's left of this year. So maybe you're headed into this holiday season with a bit of dread. Maybe you're just not feeling that festive anyway. On the other hand, maybe you absolutely are. Maybe you're like, man, I need something to get me through these next few weeks. I need a little Christmas cheer. I need some joy going on. But then you might feel a certain level of guilt. Again, think about all these conflicting emotions that maybe other people aren't having quite as festive year. It's kind of like Johnny Cash's Man in Black. How many of you are Johnny Cash fans? I can't see you to raise your hand, but you can at least throw it down in the chat. His Man in Black, how can I wear colorful clothes where there's so much suffering, so much difficulties out there? How can I wear colored clothes? So I am just going to dress all in black in acknowledgement of all the pain that is out there. Maybe we feel kind of like that sometimes. You know, we talked last week, 3 weeks ago, about gratitude and Thanksgiving surrounding the holiday of Thanksgiving. You know, this gratitude and joy, we talked about how closely linked they are. And gratitude and joy, that's our theme for this Sunday. Joy, if you can see that, Joy and gratitude are linked and may help us make sense of these conflicting emotions that we may have during this Advent Christmas season. See, gratitude brings together both mourning, grief, and celebration and rejoicing. It does that. We talked about that in Thanksgiving, that regardless of what happens, we are people of gratitude. We thank God for the grace, the mercy, and the love that He has shown. And we are grateful right now in this Advent season for the coming of the Messiah, this anticipation of God becoming human. You know, gratitude and joy fit together. See, joy comes in large part from knowing who we are and finding confidence in this. I want to repeat that. Joy comes in large part from knowing who and whose we are and finding confidence in this or in that. See, whatever you are facing, whatever we are facing, whatever happens, we know with confidence that we are Jesus' people. We are confident no matter what happens, no matter what we're feeling, no matter what we're experiencing, that we are Jesus's. Your value, your worth comes from that, from being a Jesus person and from being simply created in His image. This alone makes you invaluable. Nothing else that can help us rise above some of the issues that we're facing today. That no matter what, you are Christ's. Things don't have to go exactly as we planned. We've kind of thrown all our plans out for this year anyway. Things don't have to go as we planned. They don't have to go smoothly because I'm okay, because you are okay regardless. You are still made in God's image. You are still Jesus' person. You're still God's. You are still His creation, and in this, true joy can be had. So regardless of where you are in this, in celebration, in sadness, in depression, in disappointment, in all across that spectrum, you are still God's. And you're of infinite worth to Him. Sometimes we get wrapped up in making this has got to be the best Christmas ever. My son, he just turned 5 about 3 weeks ago, and get the sense, man, this has got to be a good birthday for him, especially in 2020. There's no parties, nobody's coming over, anything like that, so we've got to do something a little different. And we get wrapped up in making this the best event ever, the best Christmas ever, the best birthday ever. And maybe this year we're thinking about Christmas. I got to make up for lost Christmas time or lost Christmas parties, or we can't go do the usual things for Christmas, and so I've got to make up for it. Stores have been sold out of Christmas decorations. I don't know if you have noticed that or not, but people have sold out because stores have sold out because people are decorating. I'm one of those people. I haven't decorated in years, but Black Friday, I'm like, I don't have anything else to do. I might as well decorate for Christmas outside. So we are desperate for some good news, for some joy. And we put these pressures on ourselves sometimes to make this the best there is. And there's some good things to that, about embracing the season and trying to do our best. But on the other hand, if this is the depth of our joy, if this is all we've got, it is bound to be a letdown. It's bound to be a disappointment. I'm sure you have had, I think everybody has had that vacation that they have looked forward to. I'm planning this is going to be the best vacation ever. Only to have it go up in flames. Again, I've shared this before, but it's like it was the Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, I waited and anticipated 20 years for this load of crap. No. Or it's Ralphie in A Christmas Story before he gets his BB gun. Yeah, it's an okay Christmas. I kind of got what I wanted, but I didn't get the BB gun. You know, that when our joy is we've placed it in the event or making this the best Christmas ever, we are bound to experience disappointment. See, I know I wasn't quite sure what to expect when my first child was born. I just assumed when that kid came out, I was just going to fall immediately and head over heels in love with that baby coming out of there. That was not the case. Fiona was kind of like red and slimy, and I certainly did not feel overwhelming love. In fact, it was just kind of like, it's a baby, I had to grow into that love. It was a disappointment I had to struggle with. It was a letdown. It's like, wow, I didn't have this overwhelming sense of immediate love. I had kind of built this moment up to something that it could never reach. And sometimes we do that with the holidays. And it robs us of our joy. Think about all the time, all the things that we are told in Scripture about joy. And some of them are a little bit conflicting, very paradoxical. Listen, we are instructed and commanded to be joyful. Romans 15:13. We're also told joy is just simply to mark the life of a Christian. 1 Peter 1:8-9. We're also told in Psalms, look at 51:10-12, that we can lack joy. James tells us in chapter 1, verse 2, that joy is a choice. Sometimes we confuse joy with happiness. Happiness is an emotion, and it's tied to an event, something that happens right now, and it makes us happy. That's not the biblical understanding of joy. Joy that is rooted in something else besides the immediate. Joy is rooted in God and whose we are, who we are and whose we are, which we talked about just a bit ago. Therefore, no matter what we go through, and James talks about this, no matter what we experience, even trials, persecution, and suffering, therefore, our joy doesn't fade or shouldn't fade because we choose joy in the Messiah. Joy is complicated. Joy is complicated. At times, joy seems to come easy. Other times, it's a struggle to hold on to it, and it may even seem to disappear. What has this to do with Christmas? What has this to do with Advent besides simply being our theme? I want to tie this all together. John, you're probably saying, well, thank goodness. What in the world was he rambling on about? John 1:14. And the Word, brackets, the Son, God, the Word became human and dwelt among us. And we have seen His glory as glory of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. And the Word became human and dwelt among us. That is what Christmas is all about. A little nod to Charlie Brown's Christmas. This is how all of this stuff that we have just talked about, this paradox of joy, makes any sense whatsoever. God became human and dwelt among us. God became man on Christmas and lived among humans. God gets it. God understands it. This is the part of the mystery and the wonder of Christmas. Big Christian word right now, big theological word, the incarnation. God becoming human, the incarnation. God lowered Himself to become one of us. Most of us probably have been in a situation at work or maybe elsewhere where the boss or the company or the higher-ups make some sort of sweeping change, or maybe not even a sweeping change, make a change on your level. And sometimes that's really helpful, and it makes life so much easier. It makes things better at work. But you also know, on the other hand, there are times when it's a colossal mistake. It makes things 10 times worse. It doesn't help at all. It just angers everybody and frustrates them. See, it happens because they don't know, your higher-ups, they may not know what it's like to be on the floor, on the ground level. They've never spent time in the garage or on the floor or in the classroom or working with the computer system. The change, sure, it sounds good, but you don't know how it actually works. You don't know what it's like down here. They've never gotten their hands dirty and done the hard work. The story of Christmas is that God got His hands dirty. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. This is our immeasurable joy at Christmas and at all times. God became human and dwelt among us. It's not just that God became man, but that He knows. He knows what's happening. He's been there. He's lived. He was born. Get my order right. He was born. He lived. He suffered. He died. And it's easy to forget that God has lived these same experiences, these emotions, these ups and downs, these frustrations, the highs and lows, the stresses, the pressures. And still Jesus found joy. God isn't some aloof deity floating around up there that we have to yell really loud when we pray so we can hear us. That doesn't get it, that's never got his hands dirty. The Son became Jesus. God became man. Jesus has shared in our joy, in our sorrows, our disappointments, and even our celebrations. On Christmas, we joyfully anticipate God dwelling among us. Back at Christmas when He was born for the first time, but also we look forward to His coming again, to dwelling among us again. So what's left of Advent? These last 2 weeks, find joy in it. Even if this is not an ideal Christmas, even if you're not happy, even if you're experiencing bouts of depression, or maybe you're on the mountaintops right now, you can find joy in God dwelling among us. God becoming flesh. So don't overpromise on this Advent season, on this Christmas. You don't need to make up for lost time. You don't need to go above and beyond because it's a pandemic. But neither do you have to lose joy because it's not a normal year. Or you may not be with family as normal. Or you didn't get to go to Holidazzle. If you're watching us from Minnesota, you'll know what that is. Joy is found in God becoming human and dwelling among us. Choose joy this holiday season, this Christmas season, this Advent season. May it carry you forward no matter what you experience. Blessings. Thank you for joining me today.